Jeres gæster går op i musikken, når de er på restaurant eller til frisør. Det bør I også. Og med en musiklicens får I over 38 millioner.
Can you feel it? Nothing can save ya, cause this is the season of funky behavior. I came to relax your mind, you can recline. On what? On this here rhyme. I like the style, I'm staying for a while. It helps me show cats that I'm versatile. I'll touch your dial, turn your frown to a smile. I'll make you feel like you're having a child. So relax and open up, child. I'm about to make you walk what? Pimp style or pimped out style. You don't understand the logic. See, if you don't have it all, I'll take a deposit. I got shit for you, it's alright indeed. It's like going to the garden and planting the seed. It might tickle for a second, but it won't bleed. So just relax, just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax and just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Your entertainment at the same time, edutainment. In other words, you could call it bet. What I'm saying is that I'm here at your service. It's hard work, but then again, I deserve this. I'm helping people enjoy their spare time. I'm like an instructor when I'm doing my rhyme. Relax and just hit the dope track. It's really not all that, it's not like a gag. We like that when everything is relaxed and chill. You don't have to get fucked up or take pills, cause I like being myself, it feels good. Yo, it makes my meals taste good. 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 So just relax. It's here a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax and hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax. My mind state, now balloon, it won't inflate. Just take the buzz, this much wiser kid, fuck the shade. And take it to a lower level, and dig a ditch for a devil. Got some more kids and pass the shovel. Dig a hole, take them on a spiritual roll. Lyrics unfold, either that or unroll the scroll. Episodes keep reoccurring and stifling. People's vision get blurring, their hearts start murmuring. I'm about 5 times iller than a Sherman. Introspection is God's gift to the miracle. I freak material, lamb's milk without the cereal. When MCs say your booty, they mean venereal. Your fake material hip-hop killers, they more faking than fucking Michael Jackson and Thriller. The status of a hoe, Quanto Costa. They wanna know how much it costs, kid, I bet for keep tell so me just relax and just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax and just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax.
The Trump administration wants the International Criminal Court to ensure it does not investigate the U.S. president or his top officials by changing the court's founding document. That's according to a Trump official who says the court faces new U.S. sanctions if it doesn't comply with that demand. The court has long been criticized by the U.S. as infringing on its sovereignty, and Washington has never been a member state. But what is the ICC, and how does it work? The ICC acts as a court of last resort with the power to prosecute heads of state. That founding document Trump officials want changed, the ICC Rome Statute, asks all 124 states that have signed it to arrest and hand over anyone subject to an ICC arrest warrant if they set foot on their territory. But as Jerry Simpson, law professor at the London School of Economics, points out, the court has no enforcement mechanism, which is why individuals accused of war crimes rarely face trial.
It's very hard to enforce an arrest warrant. We've been here before with the South Africans and al-Bashir in Sudan. And there, the court didn't even make an order.
So then what goes on when states don't comply with the court? If a country doesn't arrest someone they're obliged to, they get referred back to the ICC's member states and ultimately to the UN Security Council. But the court can't do much else than that. In the example of Omar al-Bashir, the Sudanese president indicted in 2009 for genocide in Darfur, he stayed in office for a decade after his warrant before being toppled in a coup, all while traveling to several ICC members, including Kenya, Jordan, and South Africa, who all declined to detain him.
If the state party fails to comply with an arrest warrant, the case can go before the court, and the court can then order the state party to comply and can refer the matter to what's called the Assembly of State Parties, or ultimately the Security Council, if it's the Security Council that first referred the matter. So the ICC, the court itself, really can't do a great deal.
So why is the demand coming now from the Trump administration? The Trump official who spoke to Reuters did not say what issues the administration worries could become the subject of an ICC investigation, and declined to say when Washington began making its demand to the court. But the official also cited what they called open chatter in the international legal community that the court could target Trump and his top officials in 2029, when the Republican president's term ends. Starting in September, the U.S. military has killed more than 80 people in deadly strikes against suspected drug vessels in the Caribbean and off the Pacific coast of Latin America. When asked if the administration was making its demands of the ICC over worries the court may pursue charges in relation to U.S. conduct in Venezuela, the Trump official declined to elaborate. The Trump administration wants the International Criminal Court to ensure it does not investigate the U.S. president or his top officials by changing the court's founding document. That's according to a Trump official who says the court faces new...
Okay, I wonder what they mean by changing the official document. Let me hear that one more time. Good morning, everybody.
Does not investigate the U.S. president or his top...
Oh, good evening, good night.
...officials by changing the court's founding document. That's according to a Trump official who...
All right, by changing the founding document. All right.
...says the court faces new U.S. sanctions if it doesn't comply with that demand. The court has long been criticized by the U.S. as infringing on its sovereignty, and Washington has never been a member state. But what is the ICC, and how does it work?
All right, hold on.
The ICC criticized by the U.S. as infringed.
I just want to hear that demand one more time.
Officials by changing the court's founding document. The Trump administration wants the International Criminal Court to ensure it does not investigate the U.S. president or his top officials by changing the court's founding document. That's according to a Trump official who says the court faces new U.S. sanctions.
But look, why can you change the found? See, this is another thing like NATO, sadly enough now, Trump is not a member. The U.S. is not a member of the ICC. I said this last year. We had this conversation last year, again, before the elections. The conversation about the ICC, the conversation about the U.S. not being a member state of it, meaning it doesn't really have to cooperate because it's not a member state. It's the member states that have to cooperate. Look, Russia is a member of the ICC. Let me just double check here. Let me make sure I'm remembering this correctly. Let's see here. Let me see here just to make sure I got this right. Oh, hold on. Wait a second. Russia isn't. Wait a second. Let me just review this. Russia's not a member state. The U.S. is not a member state. Right now, they won't withdraw, but why they won't follow? But why were we talking about this last year? What was that about? This okay. They're saying the ICC can still exercise jurisdiction over states, right? Now, let me see. It says here, it says, okay, hold on. Did I do this right? Okay, Israel has never been in the ICC. Okay, Israel. Okay, Israel's not a member. Now, here's the current situation with Trump. ICC Rome Constitution. Okay. The U.S. Constitution. What, if anything, Trump wants changed? Trump himself has not formally proposed a constitutional. There's no official. Okay. However, there's related efforts to talk around the potential amendments. No. I'm talking about. I don't know why that even came up. He said he wanted. Okay, here's what Trump administration has been reporting wanting change in the ICC's founding document, the Rome Statute. Okay, a carve out so the ICC cannot investigate or prosecute Trump key officials. How can you do that? I mean, how can you make a law for one person and not for everyone? I mean, it doesn't make sense. But Trump administration is pressuring the International Criminal Court to amend the Rome Statute so that it makes explicit that the court does not have jurisdiction to investigate or prosecute the U.S. president, vice president, secretary of defense, and other top officials. Do you think there's a chance in hell of that happening? Put a 1 in the chat if you think there's a chance of that happening. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't think it's going to happen at all. Even if the court otherwise would have jurisdiction under its rules, okay, because it could, right? Where they claim to. The U.S. would effectively grant immunity for specific. That's right. I remember now what the issue was. Last year, people were talking about Netanyahu came before the election, came to visit Congress, right? And people were saying, how come the U.S. doesn't turn him over to the ICC? I was telling people the U.S. isn't a member of the ICC, right? Because they're not, obviously. And then there was another issue about this. It was something, there's people that have been, I believe, prosecuted in The Hague that are actually connected with Putin. You know, some of these countries, I think was it Bosnia and Kosovo, something like that had this war, and some of the people were sent, some of the generals were sent. Even though Putin didn't have to deal with that, they did, right? Now, one of these other countries did. Now, ending or halting specific ICC probes. Beyond immunity language, the U.S. is also pushing ICC to drop or end its investigation into the alleged war crimes by Israeli leader Netanyahu relating to Gaza, the Gaza conflict, and officially close or not pursue further earlier investigations into alleged crimes involving U.S. military personnel in Afghanistan. These demands are part of the broader push tied to amending the Rome Statute. Why this matters. The Rome Statute is a treaty that establishes and governs the ICC's jurisdiction and how it operates. Any amendment that carves out the specific individuals or states from prosecution would be a profound change in how the court was designed to function. The ICC is meant to hold individuals accountable regardless of rank, including heads of state. Amending the Rome Statute to include such immunity would require approval from 2/3 of the ICC's member states. Okay, I get it. Now, okay, so that's the 2/3. A very high threshold and difficult to achieve, especially for a demand originating from a country, the United States, that is not a party to the Rome Statute. So they haven't even signed it, the U.S., right? But they want it changed. Summary. In short, the Trump administration wants the ICC founding treaty to change explicitly, bar investigations or prosecutions. I mean, that's not even possible. You destroy the ICC, essentially, to do this, which would, but it's normal for Trump to ask people to destroy themselves for him. He's asking the United States citizens to destroy the Constitution for his administration only for him. Nobody else can. And when anyone else does illegal stuff, it's just called illegal and the worst thing that ever happened. When Trump does it, it's called great for America. Stop or close certain ongoing ICC investigations involving U.S. troops and allied political leaders. These proposed changes are aimed at shielding current future U.S. leader from the ICC jurisdiction, but would be a major alteration to the court's basic mandate. All right, so let's just go back to this now and see what the heck is going on here. Well, all right, let's see. Boom. Yeah, what do y'all think about that? I mean, we didn't talk about this yesterday, but this is just odd. You know, this shows me how scared they are about what they've been doing. Like, it's all out with the Venezuelan ships. It's all out. It's recorded. The evidence is all there. Obviously, everyone wasn't captured or killed in those operations. Many of the people left, and you can be pretty sure those people have been interviewed by the ICC. You can be pretty sure.
No support and recognition to the International Criminal Court. As far as America is concerned, the ICC has no jurisdiction.
Let me just go here to Trump. Here we go. Let's see what Trump got to say.
No jurisdiction, no legitimacy, and no authority.
Now, this was his last term, Trump speaking on this. So Trump wanted something similar in the last term for Netanyahu, I believe.
The ICC claims near universal jurisdiction over the citizens of every country, violating all principles of justice, fairness, and due process. We will never surrender America's sovereignty to an unelected, unaccountable global bureaucracy.
Right. I mean, okay. I mean, now
Donald Trump did something this week that is making
the Trump document that Russia loves. Yeah. Who thinks? Let me just go back over to the chat. Yo, click the like button, y'all. I'm sorry. I did come in kind of rough today because yesterday it was like 7 hours, this live stream. So let me see who's in here. That's Sand Girl says they should be scared. They committed war crimes. Absolutely. I mean, to me, it doesn't get any more plain than this. You got two serious issues. You know, you have the issue with Gaza, right? Which is also on camera, is documented, you know. Then you got the issue with Venezuela now that's on camera. It's pretty sure to be raised in the ICC because of all the other member states. Let me see here. Let me go to see how many member states. How many member states are there to the ICC? Yeah, but I just don't see. Do you think it's possible? I'm gonna pull this up on the screen and then come back to the chat. Do you think it's possible to here we go, to actually can y'all see this? Yeah. Do you think it's possible to change it without destroying it? I mean, what's the idea here? This is crazy. Let me see here. They found to be scared. Okay, right. Let me see. Listening to Noam, the FBI guy, Trump has been especially rough these past couple of days already. Like they can even make a coherent statement anymore. Yeah, that is true. It seems like they're shaking up about some shit. Yeah, it was Serbia. Thank you very much, Edward. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that was in the 90s, you know, and some of those people went to the ICC. Obviously, that's not, I don't think Putin wasn't the president then. That was Yeltsin, right, at that time. But let's see here. Yeah, click the like button, y'all, too, please. It's 2 a.m. in Arizona. It's 10:14 CET time in the morning, Europe. Let me see here. Somebody, okay. The troll Billy says Trump is a genius. Okay. I mean, I don't think I think he's an evil genius. He relies on corruption. You know, those that are corrupt and believe in corruption as a norm and think that they shouldn't be prosecuted, shouldn't follow the same rules as anybody else. Yeah, Trump really knows how to navigate that world, and that's sad, you know. That's really sad. But let me just go back here for a second.
As far as America is concerned,
we got this. That's Trump.
The United States will provide.
Pause this.
No support.
All right, let me see who else.
Britain, Germany, and France are among more than 70 countries which have signed a statement criticising President Trump's decision to impose sanctions on the International Criminal Court, the ICC. It said the measures increase the risk of exemptions from punishment for the most serious crimes. Donald Trump had criticised the ICC for issuing arrest warrants for Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his former defence minister, who are wanted for alleged war crimes in Gaza. Well, let's discuss with our security correspondent, Frank Gardner. So what are we to make of all of this in relation to the ICC, Frank?
Well, Jane, let's just remind ourselves, what is the ICC? It's the highest court on the planet. It is the mechanism by which the international community holds people to account for the most serious crimes, alleged war crimes, abuses against humanity. It's a kind of latter-day Nuremberg, as it were. It was set up in 1998 by the Statute of Rome. Now, in this particular case, the reason why President Trump has introduced sanctions against it is because back in November, just 3 months ago, it indicted Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, and his former defense minister, Yoav Gallant, for alleged war crimes, particularly for what they had done in Gaza, or specifically for Israel's actions in Gaza. An indictment that was vigorously rejected by Israel and those two individuals. But this goes far further than just Israel. If you remember, back in March 2023, most of the free world, the democratic world, rejoiced when the ICC, the International Criminal Court, indicted President Putin and his Minister for Children's Rights, Maria Lvova-Belova. And it was very unlikely that they were ever going to stand trial in The Hague. But nevertheless, it sent an important message. Now, this particular move of President Trump's drives a coach and horses through the West's attempts. All
right, that's right. Putin's been indicted, but Russia's not a member. And this is another case of, so this is non-member states against basically member states. I mean,
much of the world's attempts, not just the West, to hold autocrats, dictators, and abusers to account. And that is, I think, quite a dangerous precedent. It will be, I think, celebrated in some parts of the world where they want to see the dismantling of the international rules-based order. So quite a dangerous move, I think.
Frank, thanks so much. Frank Gardner.
Okay. If you're still typing your coding prompts, you're...
So let me see something. That was interesting. Now let me go to the, let's go to the next one here. Let's see what they say.
Breaking news, the Trump administration has slapped a Canadian judge on the International Criminal Court with sanctions as the U.S. State Department continues to push back on the tribunal. The State Department today said Kimberly Prost was sanctioned for, quote, ruling to authorize the ICC's investigation into U.S. personnel in Afghanistan. Prost has been a judge in the trial division since 2018. She also worked for the Canadian Department of Justice for nearly 2 decades. The State Department also took action against other ICC officials from France, Fiji, and Senegal, linked to the tribunal's investigation into Israel's actions in Gaza and the West Bank. The ICC issuing a statement that reads in part, the International Criminal Court deplores the announcement of new designations for sanctions by the U.S. administration against ICC judges Kimberly Prost and others. The ICC goes on to say these sanctions are a flagrant attack against the independence of an impartial judicial institution, which operates under the mandate from 125 states parties from all regions.
Britain, Germany, and France are among more.
Okay. So that's interesting. Now, listen, they say here that although I'm gonna go through the states that are members, but it says the U.S. is not a party to the ICC because it is not a state party. It cannot formally refer situations to the ICC prosecutor under Article 14. Right? The U.S. basically is not a member because a body would then become, how could you say, a judicial body above the U.S. You know, the U.S. could always sanction something like this, but, you know, this is complicated. But in any case, it says, but the U.S. has supported some ICC, not sanction, but I mean veto, sorry. It says the U.S. has supported some ICC-related actions indirectly, while the U.S. itself doesn't send referrals, right, because it's not a member state, and the UN Security Council, it has abstained on the referral of Darfur, right? Or it can, that's what I was just saying, or it can veto, right? To the U.S., to the ICC. Now, Sudan, I don't know how many of you know this, but the last one, Bashir, the last, not the last president, but president before was Bashir. and he was, accused of war crimes. And you could see Sudan is still a hot mess today. Sudan became split because of Bashir, and now it's in chaos still, because of the remnants of what's been going on there, which is liable to be loads of war crimes going on in Sudan right now, just like in the Congo, and, just like in Gaza, and just like in Ukraine. I myself, I don't see these situations any different from each other, really. I just think that sometimes the West tends to, and the East, both parties, Putin, China and Putin and Russia tend to turn a blind eye when it's people that they're connected to. And the U.S., because of that, at the same time tends to turn a blind eye back, right? And this has happened. This has been going on years ago, even in Eastern Europe, when Putin was, connected to certain actions over there. He never went to the IC. He never was delivered. I don't know how far that prosecution, if it went anywhere, it didn't, right? But other people under him were, because of these wars in Eastern Europe, because of Putin selling weapons, because of certain connections he had with individual generals and things like this. Yes, that's right. Now, it also voted in favor, the U.S. also voted in favor of the Security Council referral of Libya in 2011. You see what I'm saying? So it was in favor of that on the UN level, the ICC going after, who was this, Gaddafi at that time, probably. In those cases, U.S. support at the UN level helped the court gain jurisdiction, even though the U.S. wasn't a member. You see what I'm saying? These aren't the same. Now, people should ask, did Trump agree with that or no? These aren't the same as U.S. itself referring the situation to the ICC under the Rome Statute, but they facilitate ICC jurisdiction through the Security Council. The U.S. sometimes provides cooperation or support. At times, the U.S. officials or Congress have referred. Oh, really? Hold on. Let me just pull this up so y'all can see what I'm reading here. Can y'all see this? All right, here we go. The U.S. sometimes provides cooperation or support. At times, the U.S. officials or Congress have offered various forms of cooperation, like sharing information or expressing diplomatic support for accountability in situations where the ICC is investigating crimes in Africa and elsewhere. This has been done on a case-by-case basis, despite the U.S. not being a member state. The U.S. also opposes certain ICC actions, especially under recent administrations. The U.S. has taken actions against the ICC, including sanctions and executive orders targeting ICC officials. In the response to investigations, the court has pursued in Afghanistan or concerning Israel leadership. Okay, this reflects opposition rather than referral or recommendation. Okay, so the UN Security Council, it supported some UN Security Council referrals to the ICC. So that's pretty much where it's at. It's sometimes cooperated in specific ICC investigations. Okay, yes, okay, here we go. So let me just go back for a second. How many member states are there in the ICC? As of now, the International Criminal Court has 125 member states, meaning 125 countries have ratified or acceded to the Rome Statute, right? The treaty that establishes, somebody working over there? The treaty that establishes and governs the ICC. All right, let me see here. Now, the Rome Statute is ICC founding treaty. 125 countries and state parties are party to it. Now, let me see what the states are. Who are the states? Let's see if they can tell me. All right, let me see here who the member states are. Let's see here. That would be, okay, that's South Africa. That is Kenya. That is Uganda. That is Cote d'Ivoire. That is Tunisia. Okay. 33 African states. And who else? Who else? That's interesting. Okay. let me just count all the African states here. That's kind of weird. They don't just not just mention all of them. But let's just double check here. Let's see here. Okay, these are the countries. These are the countries right here. Is this all of them or not? Let me see something. States parties to the Rome Statute. Right, 125. Okay, out of them, 33 are African states. Okay, now the 33 African states would be Benin, Botswana, Burkina Faso, Cabo Verde, Central African Republic, Chad, Comoros. You get the point. It's 33. Tunisia, Uganda, South Africa, Zambia, Sierra Leone, Seychelles, Senegal, Nigeria, Namibia, Mauritius, Mali, Malawi, Madagascar, Liberia, Lesotho, Kenya, Ghana, Gambia, Gabon, Djibouti, Democratic Republic of Congo, Cote d'Ivoire, Congo, Comoros, Chad, Central African Republic, right. And let me see now who else. Damn, there's a lot of member states here. There's a whole lot of member states. Asian Pacific, there's 20. Eastern Europe, let's see. Eastern Europe, Albania, Armenia, Bosnia, right? Bulgaria, Croatia, Czech Republic, Estonia, Georgia, Hungary, Latvia, and the list goes on. Romania, Ukraine, Slovenia, Slovakia, Serbia, Republic of Moldova, Poland, North Macedonia, Montenegro, Lithuania, right? Hungary, Georgia, right? Let's see here. Who else is in there? Then you have Latin America. Who's it? Okay. Antigua and Barbuda, Argentina, Barbados, Belize, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica. I mean, ain't this most of the world? We're about to see Venezuela on this list, man. Hold on. Let me see here. Brazil, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Congo, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, El Salvador, Grenada, Guatemala, Guyana, Honduras, Mexico, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, St. Kitts, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Suriname, Trinidad, Uruguay, Venezuela. Okay. Now, what the heck is this? Okay. Now, why did they say Latin? Why did they say Latin? Why don't they? Okay, so let me see something. Is Venezuela not a member state? So you got Asia Pacific, Japan, Australia, Fiji, Timor Leste, and 19 other states. I mean, let's just look at that list real quick about Western, Asia Pacific states. Let's see here. Afghanistan, Bangladesh. I mean, it's good to know because, you know, it's interesting. You would assume, I assume that Venezuela, why wouldn't Venezuela be on this? That kind of points to something, if you ask me. Israel's not, U.S. not, Russia's not, Venezuela now. I didn't see Venezuela on the list. Is Venezuela a member? Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Cambodia, Cook Islands, Cyprus. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's Cyprus. Okay. Fiji, Japan, Jordan, Kiribati. Is that how it's spelled? Okay. Maldives, Marshall Islands, Mongolia, Nauru, Republic of Korea, what is this? Samoa, right? State of Palestine. Palestine's a member state. Oh, you know they want to take Palestine to fucking ICC all the time. I bet you. Let's go look and see if there was one time Israel recommended anybody from Palestine to the ICC. Let's see here. Iran. I haven't seen Iran, right? Turkestan, Timor, and what is this? Vanuatu. I'm sorry. That's interesting how certain countries didn't come up on the list. Now let me see here. Let me do one more thing. Is Venezuela who else? is Venezuela? Oh, no. Let me see. Is Venezuela a member? Let me just see something here. Is Venezuela a member? Yes. Okay. I missed that then. I missed that, y'all. Goddamn. So where is it listed? I didn't see it listed in the Caribbean, Latin states. Maybe I read by it. Okay. So Venezuela is a member. Okay. And then let me see here. What else is there? Okay. Has Israel ever cooperated or supported ICC arrest of any Palestinians? It's important to just check these things out. Just because I never have asked this question before. You see what I mean? I don't know how many of you have asked this. Okay. So I wouldn't know if I didn't ask. I wouldn't know, right? And it can get a little tricky here when you're dealing with this. So short answer, no, Israel has not cooperated with or supported ICC efforts to arrest any Palestinians. In fact, the relationship between Israel and the International Criminal Court has been largely adversarial, and Israel does not recognize ICC's jurisdiction. Key point, Israel is not a member of the ICC and rejects its authority. Israel has never ratified the Rome Statute, ICC, founding treaty, and rejects the court's jurisdiction over situations involving Israel, national or territorial. In submission to the ICC, Israel has argued the court should not have jurisdiction over the situation in the state of Palestine. Okay. Israel has opposed the ICC. Okay. Proceedings rather than supported them. Okay. Let me see. Let me just go because I wanted to see anything. Have they supported anyone else though? ICC has issued arrest warrants involving the situation in Palestine. The ICC has issued arrest warrants for individuals, including Israeli leaders and leaders of armed groups in the context of alleged crimes in Gaza and the occupied Palestinian territories, but those are issued by the court itself, not at Israel's request, and Israel disputes them. Okay. Let me see here. The ICC process for arrest does not depend on Israel's cooperation for Palestinian suspects. Okay. But then who recommends somebody from Palestine? I'm just curious about that. Who does that, right? Why, if Israel doesn't do it, then who would be doing it, right? Why this matters. Cooperation normally expected. States parties to Rome Statute are obliged to assist. Okay, so there you have it. That might answer that. Statutes, Palestinian statutes. Palestine is a party to the Rome Statute. They are a party. Look, I mean, this is Palestine is a party to the Rome Statute, and Israel's not. This is okay. There's one other thing here. Let me just go back here and just go to European. Let me see EU states that are members, Western European and other states. Let's see here, just for clarification before I go on here. Then I'm going to go into the chat. Okay, Andorra, Australia, Austria, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Iceland, Ireland, Italy, Liechtenstein. Damn, I gotta find out where the hell is Liechtenstein. Is it Liechtenstein or Liechtenstein? Okay, so in any case, Luxembourg, Malta, Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, Portugal, San Marino, Spain, Sweden. It looks like everybody in the EU is a member. Is the UK a member? Let me just double check that real quick. Okay. Is the UK a member? Let me see here. Maybe that doesn't count quite. Is the UK let me just see here. Yes. Okay. The United Kingdom is a member. Let me go back to here. Where the hell is the UK flag? Oh, there it is. I just went by it. That's no wonder. It's the last one. So Switzerland, Sweden, Spain. Okay. I said that. All right. Sorry about that. All right. So let me just ask one more question. I'm going to ask that again. Has Israel ever supported in any way an investigation the ICC was conducting against anyone. Let me see here. I just want to see, because again, you know, the U.S. has supported on the UN level, but I guess that wouldn't be Israel, right, to do that. So I got you. Israel's never ratified. Israel formally stated it had no intention to join. Yeah, because it's not a state, it's not obligated. Okay, Israel has submitted legal arguments. Okay, wait a second. They've submitted legal arguments to oppose it, legal arguments to the ICC contesting its jurisdiction, especially regarding the situation with Palestine. But has it ever supported a Palestinian being prosecuted? Investigations related to Israel and Palestine. The ICC has opened investigations into alleged war crimes in Gaza and the West Bank. These investigations are based on referrals by other ICC member states or Palestine, a state party. So it seems to be only one direction. Okay, Israel has not provided any assistance, neither in investigations nor in arresting, surrendering suspects. Okay, and that's just in any regard, Israeli or Palestinian. Israel is not a member. It has never supported, referred, or cooperated in any ICC investigation. All right, so yeah, go on. I mean, yeah. Let me know what you think, like, you know, what your opinion is. Let me go in here and see what people are talking about. 125 countries had ratified. Yeah, exactly. They 100. I mean, look, there's a lot of countries that are supposed to be adhering to the ICC, right? Turning people over. Cooperating means you have to cooperate, right? If you're a member state. But yeah, faster to count who's not one of the signatures. Yeah, that's true. I mean, well, let me see here. Thank you. Let me do that too, Thorne. Let's see here. Who is not a member? Who is not a member state? Let's see here. Who's not a member state? Can y'all see this? All right, it says the United States. Okay, we knew that one. Russia, Belarus. It's good to see how this adds up. China, India, Pakistan. Okay, well, damn. Okay, Saudi Arabia, Turkey signed but never ratified. That means they signed the initial agreement, but they never ratified it into their own national law. So that means they don't have a way to act on it. You know, there's no legal means to act on it on a state level yet, right? Yeah. When did they sign it? When did Turkey sign it? Okay, I'm going to look that up too. Middle East, Israel signed but never ratified it. Okay, that's something we didn't know. So Israel signed it, they never ratified. Let's find out when they signed it. Other notable countries, let's see here. Okay, you got Qatar, never joined. You got Philippines, ratified in 2011, but later withdrew. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let me see here. So that would be, let's see here. We got, it says, signed but never ratified. Okay, when did Turkey sign it? When did Turkey sign? Pakistan, never. Saudi Arabia, never. Turkey signed, never ratified. Israel signed, but never ratified. Isn't that what it was? Right. So let me see here. When did Turkey and Israel sign? Let me see here. That's good to know. Israel actually signed it. When did they sign it? This is 25 years ago. December 2000, right? This was this is interesting, the timing. Okay, reason for signing: Israel signed primarily for diplomatic signaling to show willingness to engage the international legal norms while keeping its option open. Why it didn't ratify: Israel never intended to be bound to the ICC. jurisdiction. Its main concern was protecting Israel's nationals, especially military and political leaders, from prosecution. Israel officially rejected the ICC's authority over situations in Israel and Palestine. But why even sign? I don't get that. Okay, Turkey signed in same year. Okay, months before, 3 months before roughly. Reason for signing, Turkey signed to signal support for international justice and to align diplomatically with Western institutions advocating for accountability for war crimes. Why it didn't ratify? Turkey was concerned about sovereignty and military operations, particularly, but then the war on terror started. So, I could see why, being in a war, it might raise a lot of issues. But but the U.S. isn't in war, so what's the issue? And military operations, particularly regarding actions in conflicts such as Cyprus, Iraq, or later Syria, it feared the ICC would claim jurisdiction over Turkish nationals. Okay. So, that's kind of interesting. What do y'all think about this? I mean, do you think Israel should do you think people should be prosecuted in the international court? I mean, it seems to be like there's a lot of nations that sign it, but who really wants? Let me see here. Who has anyone sponsored any prosecution towards Israel in the ICC? Let's see here. Israel or USA, right? Or Russia? And if so, who and what states? Let's just take a look at that one real quick here. There have been efforts to involve the ICC in the United States, and to much lesser extent Russia, in investigations or prosecutions related to Israel, though the mechanisms and actors differ for each. Here's a detailed breakdown. Referrals, investigations. The ICC prosecutor opened a formal investigation in 2021 into alleged war crimes in the occupied Palestinian territories. Okay, but who sponsored it? Including Gaza and the West Bank. Who sponsored? Okay, request the investigation. State referrals from the ICC members. Comoros, 2014, submitted a referral over the Gaza conflict. Bangladesh submitted a referral on Gaza. Bolivia submitted a referral concerning Israel's military actions. Djibouti submitted a referral concerning Gaza conflict. South Africa submitted a referral related to the allegations, right? Palestine, as a state party to the ICC, ceded 2015, also submitted matters to the ICC, which helped trigger an investigation. Key point: Israel itself has never requested or supported ICC investigations. Well, okay. Own nationals come to other states of Palestine. Israel does not recognize ICC jurisdiction. So, okay, United States. The U.S. is not a member of the ICC and cannot formally refer cases under the Rome Statute. However, the U.S. has expressed opposition to the ICC investigations involving Israel. For example, U.S. administrations have threatened sanctions on ICC officials pursuing investigations into Israel. The U.S. lobbied other states and international bodies to prevent ICC jurisdiction over Israel. No U.S. prosecution of Israel has ever occurred, and the U.S. has not sponsored ICC prosecutions against Israel. Okay. Russia is not a member state of the ICC. This is very interesting. It has never sponsored or referred cases against Israel to the ICC. Russia generally takes positions aligned with its geopolitical interests and has supported Palestinian state claims at the UN, but not in formal ICC referrals. Y'all hear that? Just to be clear, and I don't know. I find that very relevant because now I'm remembering what we were talking about, which was last year, And it was about how these superpowers, right, Russia, United States, and China, how when it comes to prosecutions, they generally don't, go on. They generally veto their subordinates or veto, other countries or people they supply weapons to for when it has something to do with war crimes. They usually veto it on the international level or sidetrack it or do something like that. And how this dynamic doesn't stop war in the Middle East. This dynamic actually fuels it. When there's no accountability from Russia, right? When they're not playing a role in accountability with the international community, when the U.S. is not playing a role in accountability in the international community, when China is not playing a role, the world gets dangerous. The world gets dangerous for everybody else. And there's a lot of people that thought Russia would support, prosecution of Netanyahu. They don't. That's another thing. Russia is supplying weapons to Hezbollah, Hamas, Iran, people that are said to be attacking Israel, right? I'm not saying this is my story. I'm saying this is what's out there. This is what states of the UN, Russia. This is what, China, U.S., Europe, this is what people allege, right? People allege that the U.S. and the Western powers have supported Israel. People allege that Eastern powers have supported Hamas, Iran, just like the situation in Ukraine. Who's supporting Russia, helping Russia invade Ukraine? Same old actors, Who's supporting Ukraine? Same old actors. And I would say that this is not a situation that produces justice. Like this situation, when it's split, when it's like, I'm only for prosecution when it concerns my interest. If it goes against my interest, I'm not concerned with it at all. This kind of paradigm, I don't think anyone can lead to any superpower right now as being a beacon of peace, or fairness. To be honest, in that situation, they kind of use each other as the blame, kind of like the Trump administration always uses Biden. Biden could never really talk that much, about his predecessor. But Trump sure does talk about his predecessor every day. Like anything going on right now in the United States, it's still Biden's fault. That is the unilateral rule. That's the rule that they say, that they use every day of the week. And I guess it's going to be like this too. They're probably going to blame this on Biden also. Like Biden did this. Biden shouldn't have done that. If Biden would have stood up and said, but the U.S. is not even a member. So in any case, I don't think, let me see what people think. That's why America is great, right? I mean, I don't see how any American, and I'm American myself, excuse me, I don't see how any American can support Russia in any endeavor when, when we ain't no better. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to this ICC thing, we're not signed on to it. What does that mean? You see what I'm saying? Like, what does it mean when your country starts to parallel the other country in key ways like this? What does that mean? I'm just saying, like, what does it mean? Obviously, Russia has gotten used to authoritarianism. Americans haven't. Americans are still trying to fight against it, right, in their own country now. But what does it really mean? Like, how are we to favor? There are some Americans that favor Putin, but how is that possible? That's what I don't get. When it just seems really, really odd. Then there's some that criticize the U.S. right at the same time, that would criticize the U.S. when it when it doesn't stand up. Look at Trump. He criticized Obama. He criticized Biden for not being strong enough against Putin early in the war. You see what I mean? Like, it just seems so mismatched, and like just when it suits me, when it's my turn to be investigated, I'm against it. If it's your turn, I'm all for it. It seems kind of like that, except here. Here, they just stay away. They just stay away. And how do you sell weapons with no accountability? Like, I don't get that. How do you sell weapons on the international stage with no accountability, first of all, you know? And how do you sustain wars over and over and over, supplying people that are killing other people, and then when something happens, you take no accountability? I mean, to me, that's shameful. To me, that's shameful. And I got to say this, as an American citizen, I live in the EU. So I live in a country that is a member state of the ICC. You see what I'm saying? And it's just really weird as an American now to look back at that and see how my own president is operating and functioning. You know what I'm saying? Like with impunity. It's kind of strange. But let me go to the chat and see what y'all talking about here. Sorry about that. Let's see here. Boom. Okay, let me see. Ooh, let me see who is in the chat. All right, Bits is in the chat. You done goofed is in the chat. All right, hold on. You done goof says Biden talked about Trump for 4 years. He used to call him the other guy. Yeah, but anybody who's being fair knows that Biden didn't sit back on using excuses why things don't get better. Biden rarely mentioned them, especially when you compare him to this administration mentioning Biden. I mean, this administration Biden lives and runs every administrative person's head. For any question that's asked, their official answer is Biden this, Biden that. That wasn't the Biden administration, So let's be real, let's be fair, let's be reasonable. It's okay to disagree, but you got to be within the bounds of facts, okay? Let me see here. Uniformed and propagandized people, yeah. Logistical, what is it? Okay, here we go again. That bit says logistical fallacies, false comparisons. That's one strike. Yeah, for real. This is crazy because it's the same thing as saying how many times did Biden lie? Do you think Trump lied on the international stage more than Biden, or do you think Biden lied more? You tell me. Do you think Trump lied? I mean, come on. They done clocked Trump at lying more than any other human being on earth. You know what I'm saying? And, that's what it is, So let's see here. All right. Well, in any case, do you think the United States and Russia and Israel should comply with the ICC? Yes or no? If you think they should comply with the ICC, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't, put a 2 in the chat, and let's see. Don't forget to click the like button, too, if you don't mind. Do you think the United States, Russia, matter of fact, who else, and Israel should comply with the ICC? Let me know what you think. Also, let me just go here. Let's see who else here. Just to make sure we got a rounded understanding of what's going on here. China is also not a member of the International Criminal Court. So, should China sign on? I mean, do these nations, should they be selling weapons if they're not members of the ICC? Should they be selling weapons? I mean, you see what I'm saying? Eric said, as long as they have nuclear weapons. Yeah, I mean, to me, I think it's worth taking a note, because these three nations and don't get me wrong, they're all going to have their excuses why one of them is better than the other. I would say the U.S. is probably a lot better than Russia. I mean, not probably, definitely right now, even under Trump, because there's still a lot more processes there restricting Trump than there are in Russia. There's no restrictions on Putin. You got to understand that, right? But in terms of the influence these countries have on the stage, being superpowers, what EU nation is not a member of the ICC? And then and they're not the biggest, most powerful nations, right? We already said this. So let's think about this. Everybody in the EU, let's think about this in terms of trade. Let's think about this in terms of fairness. Let's think about this in terms of willingness to cooperate on the global stage on an equal footing. Let's think about this. Which EU nations are not members? And I'll be curious to find out, is that something in the EU's own body that's been ratified? On the state, I mean, it's been ratified. We know that it's, look at this. It says almost all European Union member states are members of the ICC, but there are a few notable exceptions. Here are the breakdowns, okay? EU countries that are ICC members: Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus, Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia. Because look, they all remember World War II and they all remember the Cold War. You see what I'm saying? And yeah. Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Ireland, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Malta, Netherlands, Poland, Portugal, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, and Sweden. These countries have ratified the Rome Statute and fully participate. That means those countries on a state level already have mechanisms in place. If you show up in the country, it doesn't matter who the president is, the police go and do their job on the ground, right? The police knows every day of the week you're supposed to assist the ICC with whatever investigations they have, if you have information, you know. Now, they don't have to figure out how they're going to do it. It's already in place. It's ratified in this national law, right? Now, the EU countries that are not ICC members, none currently within the EU are officially non-members. So all EU, so just look at this in terms of cooperation on the global stage, or willingness, right, to be equals on the global stage. I mean, it's starting to, I would say that's in the EU's favor in terms of trade. I would say, yeah, that puts the second most powerful economic group on earth. It puts it there with nations with less power, less economic power, less military might. It puts them as equals, if you ask me, being members of the ICC. If you ask me, China, United States, Russia not wanting to be members kind of says you don't want to be equals with everybody else. You don't want to follow the same rules with everybody else. That's what it tells me. And I'm not trying to be hard on anybody, on the U.S., particularly my country, but I'm just saying that's what that signal tells me. Now, I can see people asking me, they want to know, is UK's a part, UK is, they're a part of the ICC. We just went over that, but let me see. I'm gonna query that again. Let's see here. Canada, UK. Yeah, exactly. Let me see something. Canada and UK members. Yeah, the UK is members. But let's see. I'm going to just do that one more time. Yes, both Canada and the United Kingdom are full members of the ICC. Full, that means it's ratified in their law. Okay. So, yeah. So they know what to do. I mean, that's probably why you don't see Netanyahu showing up in these places, or you're not going to. And I really do think this is what it's about for Trump. He wants to be able to, they want to be able to travel the world. Look, all these people that are a part of this administration, they want to later be able to travel the world and speak and have influence. They want to promote their brand of whatever they think people should be doing. And this ICC thing prohibits that. You understand? The ICC thing, it prohibits that. That means they won't feel like traveling freely after they're out of office. You see what I mean? This really causes restrictions. This means that they'll pretty much be restricted to small corners of the earth. Like Putin will go to China, Trump will go to Russia, Trump will go to China and speak, but Trump doesn't really have anything to offer about speaking to any of those groups of people. He won't anyone that's on the ICC, they won't be coming probably to Denmark. They won't be coming to France. They won't be coming to most of the world. You see what I mean? This restricts them. If they do, they will constantly be like looking over their shoulder, like, damn, am I going to get locked up? When is it going to be coming out of the airport? Is it going to be right? You see, and I think this is likely what it's about. You know, none of these people, Netanyahu, they don't want to be restricted on the world stage. And I think this is probably what's driving Trump. He's just coming to realize, like, damn, there won't be a life after this. The life after the presidency for my administration, J.D. Vance, all these other people, a lot of them will be kind of cornered in their own personal lives. And it will be like rolling the dice, going to the crap table. Anytime you take a trip to the Bahamas, anytime you go anywhere, you're going to be restricted. You are going to be restricted. And I think this is kind of more what it's about for them on a superficial level. They don't care about, you know, obviously they really understand that they're not members, so they don't have to cooperate anyway. Russia don't have to cooperate with the ICC. U.S. doesn't have to cooperate with the ICC. China doesn't have to cooperate with the ICC. But it's worth noting, Israel doesn't have to cooperate with the ICC. But it's worth noting who's in that bunch. Who is in the bunch? I mean, is Kim Jong-un a member of the is North Korea a member? All right, who are not member states? Let's see here. Let's just be clear. Let me just wrap that part up. Who are not member states? We did this again. So, United States, just for record, Russia, Belarus, China, India, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, signed but never ratified. So Turkey is kind of like, they signed, but they never ratified it into national law, so that they don't know how to operate on the ground necessarily. It will come down to any moment, any decision they make any day of the week. You don't know what it could ever be. You know, maybe it won't be anything. We all see people go and visit, you know, Russia. We saw that Russia came into Alaska to the United States. Putin came there. There was, you know, right, no issue there. Israel signed but never ratified, rejects IC. Well, obviously that puts Netanyahu in a precarious situation because they did sign. Doesn't matter if they ratified. They agreed as a nation, and they never pulled out. It doesn't say. Look, it doesn't say Iran. Look, Iran also. I mean, this is starting to paint a picture. Of course, this is not a black and white picture, okay? But adults, we don't need a black and white representation of every situation that's going on Earth, right? To come out of it with some useful information, right? Or to be able to take any useful action, right? We don't need everything to be 100% good or 100% evil, or we don't recognize it at all. No, there can be some gray areas here, right? Now, the Philippines ratified it, but withdrew. Okay, so they're not members. And Qatar, I mean, let me just go to the damn map and see what that looks like. All right, let's go right back to the map. Can y'all see this? Let me see here. Boom. Boom. Let me go to Google Maps and go back out and then just see where does this encompass? How does this affect the world, right? If we just look at who's not a member state, that means they don't cooperate. That means, you know, all kinds of shit is going to be going on, basically. You know, a criminal could be coming to visit your country when you're not a member, right? So this is Russia, right? Russia is surrounded. So Russia's the biggest geographical country on Earth. They don't participate in the ICC. So that means all of this, like, let me pull this down here. Can y'all see this? Hold on. 2 seconds. Can everybody see this? Oh, okay. Russia is out of place. Let me see if I can get that. Here we go. Boom. Right now y'all can see this. Now, Russia is that big old, it's most of that green area at the top of the map. That's Russia. God damn. It stops when it encroaches on Eastern Europe, right? Right around Ukraine, right? It stops around Ukraine area, which would be right here, this little area to the left of the screen, right? You can see the last little lake type of area that's pretty significant, you know, the Black Sea, right? It stops right about along the Black Sea area, and then that's where Western Europe begins, right? Now, so Russia is everything from there to the right over to China, right? Which is quite significant, a big mass of the world. China is a relatively tiny country. Look at that. Can you even see China right here? China is just all the way out here on the edge of Russia. This is the edge. You see where the edge of this map is? You see that? And then there's the U.S. starting at the beginning of the map there. That's where Alaska starts. You see? So, yeah. There you have it. So just for people to know. So this is Russia. Everything here is Russia to the left up until Western Europe until about the Black Sea right now. Let's see here. So you got that country, you got China. So all this stuff, everybody in this area has someone in proximity of them that's not a member of the ICC. Just Asia, Eurasia, Europe, in Asia, they all have people. They all have these two countries to think about. Russia and China have a huge arsenal, and they ain't members of the ICC. I mean, okay. I wonder how many African countries are not members. How many African countries are not members of the ICC? Let me just be clear about that just to wrap it up so we can look at that map too. Let me see here. Okay. Not members: Eritrea, Sudan, South Sudan, Burundi. Okay. It's only 4. Hold on. Total ratified but withdrew in 2017. Okay. So total African non-members or withdrawn are 4. Out of 54 African countries, this means 50 are ICC members. So you can see that. So that's a different situation, right? Most of these countries are in proximity or surrounded by other countries that are members of the ICC in Africa, right? Yeah. Now, Saudi Arabia is not a member, right? So that is interesting for, other nations. Let's say Ethiopia, Egypt, they don't play a role in that. If a criminal travels to Saudi Arabia, like Trump, for example, right? He's not a criminal in the ICC courts, but if he was, Hague said they would just openly, as a norm, welcome him. So, to the north of Africa, these are ICC countries. Turkey's the only exception, you could say, right? Pretty much. I mean, within proximity. So they're pretty much surrounded. Even Madagascar is a damn member. I mean, come on. They're a member. India's a member, right? Pakistan's not a member. Okay, well, Iran's not a member. So you got this little hack right here. Iran, Saudi Arabia are not members, right? Along with Pakistan. So those are 3 nations that border each other pretty much, right? And then you go over here. Is everybody in South America a member? How many in South America are not members? Let me see here. I just like to do this just to make sure I get, get a clear understanding of here what's going on. South American ICC members. Okay, we know members, but let's hear who's not. Non-members. Venezuela, ratified in Rome Statute in 2000, but has recently moved towards withdrawal. Okay. So, but they ratified. They ratified it in 2000, but They recently, so that means they had structures there on the ground, but then recently moved towards withdrawal. Why do you think that is? And that's very interesting, right? Because Putin, Venezuela, these are two countries that China, they're functioning outside of the ICC. They don't even agree with any international jurisdiction for any war crimes, right? They don't agree with that. It's just worth noting so people get a good idea of what's going on. Now, number of South American countries, 12. ICC members, 11. Non-members, the only one is Venezuela. So when we look at this map, right, everybody except Venezuela is a member of the ICC. What benefit does that do Venezuela? I mean, they get to have Xi come and visit. They get to have Putin come and visit. They get to have Netanyahu come and visit. Who else? I mean, it's starting to kind of show a picture, right? Although the U.S. could have these people visit, typically they were rejecting a lot of them, right? But they didn't reject Netanyahu, right? He was up under investigation. He had an investigation open. He wasn't formally charged. Let me see something. Has Netanyahu formally charged by the ICC? Let me see here. Let me see. Is it doing it? Okay. Netanyahu has not been formally charged. So this is about a preemptive stoppage by Trump overall. So Trump wants to preempt, he wants to clear the slate. He wants to pre-pardon, you could say, when he's interfering with the ICC. He's trying to before his term is out, stop that from happening, and because the likeliness of him, Netanyahu being charged is great by the ICC right now. It's greater than it's ever been. You see what I mean? Now, there are investigations, but that's not a charge. So once there's a charge, there will have to be an arrest record, right? You will have to arrest. Now, let me see. Open investigations in 2021 into alleged war crimes in the occupied Palestinian territories, which includes Gaza and the West Bank. This investigation is primarily based on referrals from Palestine, a state party, but not only. People should know that not only, because we already went through that. There's many. There's a handful that have co-signed these kind of things, right? Israel leaders, including, Netanyahu, But let me see here. Let's see here. But no formal charges or arrest warrants have been issued by the ICC against him personally at this time. So you see? So they're trying to circumvent any future prosecution that they suspect is coming down the pike. And that's just crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're really concerned about it. It's showing you Trump is very, very concerned, and so let me say this. Do you support the ICC? And do you support the ICC charging criminals, no matter who they are internationally? Let's say 9/11 terrorists come to the United States of America and, kill, right? They come and they kill, maim, chop off a bunch of heads, poison a bunch of people, torture women and children, right? In thousands and thousands and thousands, while there's some sort of conflict going on, right? Should the ICC have anything to do with that? Should they be on charges by the ICC so other countries can detain those people? So those people won't be able to travel freely without fear of arrest. What do you think? You done goofed. What do you think? Should that be the case? Should people be prosecuted internationally that make offenses against the United States, that commit crimes, war crimes against American citizens? Should other countries help prosecute it? Okay. Let me know. Do you think that's something you would support? You done goofed. Let me see here. Wake Up says October 7th started the war just like Russia started it on February 27th. Ask them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I definitely I don't think February 27th. What do you mean by that? Wake Up. Is that February? You talking about 2014? February 22nd, or are you talking about 2021? Just curious about that. They can charge them. We have they actually, what have they actually achieved? Okay. No, but do you think the question is, if someone was to commit war crimes against American citizens, would you want the ICC to file charges against these people? And would you want member states to arrest these people? That means capture them. Or would you want member states to just say, let them run free. Come and visit my country, by the way. You attacked the United States. You killed people. Hey, but come and visit me. Which one would you choose? Yeah, you can see that you done goof doesn't want to answer that question, right? Because it's a simple question. See, I say yes, I would want that. You haven't said no, and you haven't said yes. So you know, Putin is daily and has on the list. What does it change? Putin is daily and is on the list. What does it change? It doesn't matter about Putin, because right now I'm asking a question about the United States. If the United States, if somebody committed war crimes against American citizens, American military, or American citizens, just war crimes, any of that, right? You understand what a war crime is, right? Would you want other countries that are members of the ICC to detain them? Would you want that? Or would you just say, hey, fuck it. It's okay. Don't detain them and let them visit and live in your country as long as they want, these people that attack the U.S. I'm just trying to figure out which one it is, because, again, I don't see how you can solve any problem on Earth if the rules are not the same. And of course, I would want to solve problems on Earth. I wouldn't want to just keep being in a cycle and keep contributing to a cycle of death. Right? So I think it's not pretty clear. You've done it because you haven't. You've done goof because you haven't answered yes or no. It's not clear at all. I'm telling you, you're not being clear with me. Be clear, yes or no. What would you want? And make a choice. Other people have already chosen. You haven't. Let's see here. Why does the U.S. matter? I mean, a lot of us live outside the U.S. Why does the U.S. matter? I don't know. I mean, it's an example. That's why the U.S. will matter. Are you an American citizen? That's why it's being posed that way. If you're not an American citizen, then don't worry about answering the question. But if you are an American citizen, right, and you have an opinion about the U.S., right, then this is a question for you. Even if you're not an American citizen, if you have an opinion about the U.S.'s role on an international stage, good or bad, this question is for you. Okay? If someone committed war crimes against American citizens, right? If someone committed war crimes against American citizens, would you want anyone capturing those people? Because that's what the ICC agreement is about. Would you want anyone capturing them? That's the question. You don't have to change the question to something else. That's just the question for what it is. If you don't want to answer, you don't have to answer. Maybe it's not too clear for you, right? And that's okay too. Oh, he said yes? Oh, okay. He has. Oh, okay. I missed that part. Where did he say yes? It's all good. I just want to see here. You done goofed. Of their property, NATO would handle that. Okay, hold on. Oh, okay. I didn't say. I don't see any yes anywhere. I don't see any yes. Okay, but in any case, yeah, there you go. I mean, if he said yes, then he said yes. That's okay too. I didn't see it in the chat. Well, yeah, of course, if they are war crimes. Okay, that's exactly what I said, committed war crimes. That's why I said it. I didn't mean anything else, right? We're talking about the same things that other people have been described of doing, right? And it's the same set of variables, same set of qualifiers, right? Same set of rules applying. Same way that you get charged, that should be the same way. Right? If you're talking about war crimes. But understand something. You can you can believe something is a war crime without it having anything to do with the ICC. You see what I'm saying? A lot of people believed that there are war crimes that exist that never get prosecuted by the ICC. So I'm just curious about how many people would want someone to do that. It doesn't even have to be the ICC. It's just the concept of having people work together to set and establish rules that everyone follows that are fair. We're talking about same rules. Same rules. If you commit this crime, let's say, if you commit war crimes, you're not going to just be able to travel freely around the globe without looking over your shoulder. You won't have so much access because there's a lot more countries. Obviously, the majority of the country of the world has signed the ICC and ratified it. So if you committed a war crime, you wouldn't be, okay, I see you done goofed. I will not be your sacrificial MAGA. Okay, good. I hope that's excellent, but it's a simple thing. If you've committed these war crimes, and you won't be going to a member state of the ICC. That's the whole point here. That was the whole point of it. You go to this globe, everybody in South America, the only place you're going to be going to, let's hold this up again, is Venezuela. That's the only country. The rest of them have signed it and ratified it. And that means if you are charged by the ICC, they have to detain you. You don't even have to be guilty. They have to detain you. Look, go here to Western Europe. Everybody signed it. That means you can't travel to Western Europe or you're under risk of being detained if you are charged by the ICC. Go down here to Africa. Same thing. For only 4 countries have not signed this. You are under risk. I mean, even though maybe they don't all follow all the time, you're still under risk. You want to be looking under your shoulder and just to have somebody say, I changed my mind. Ha ha. Is that what you want to go? You're basically going to be able to go to Russia to travel if you've been charged. And we're talking about this in context to Hague, right? You see, you get where this is going? Hague, his actions with Venezuela, Trump, the actions and Hague, the actions in Gaza, right? The West Bank, right? We're talking about those things. Right. And so anybody, but we're also talking about other actions, Ukraine. Where are you going to travel? Where are you going to travel? You're going to travel to a country. If you were Putin, you're going to travel to a country where they've signed the ICC. What about Netanyahu? He isn't charged yet, but he will be likely charged. Where are you going to travel to? You're going to travel to North Korea, Russia. Where are you going to feel safe? Saudi Arabia. It's not a whole lot of places you're going to go, is what I'm saying. You could travel to the U.S. That's what's crazy about it. I mean, Canada, you won't be traveling to Canada. You won't be traveling to Western Europe, pretty much. All those places you will be forbidden from, or you will be in fear of traveling. You may not be forbid, but you will be in fear, So that's kind of, the context of it. Okay, let me see here. I think every country should be held accountable for its actions during the wartime. Otherwise, we're going to end up with civilian cities being wiped out. Exactly. That's what I think. That's what I think. I don't understand it. I don't understand why people just I'm talking about, especially when you're dealing with superpowers. Like, how can you sell weapons? How can you be involved in so much of the war of the world and not stand behind international law? Like, what's up with that? Not stand behind prosecuting war crimes, but yet your weapons extend across the entire globe. threefold, fourfold for some countries in their weapons, the amount of weapons they're selling? I mean, how's that possible? How are we as everyday citizens, everyday people, supposed to live in that kind of world where there's no accountability? And I'm just talking about for anybody. To me, it's not even about Russia or it's not about one country. You know what I'm saying? It's about every country, you know. And it is worth going through these details because, you know, people will tell you in these tough times, they're all the same. They're all the same. Well, we just looked. We just found out they're not all the same. Some people, every Western European country has signed and ratified the ICC. Everyone. China has not. Russia has not. The United States has not. And that puts the EU on equal footing with every other country out there that doesn't feel like they're a superpower. Yep. That's what it looks like to me. That's what it looks like to me. If you want to have a footprint on Earth, it seems like a good place to start is with the fundamental understanding that we are equals and you know, and we will adhere to a certain amount of crimes, to certain types of rules. I'm sorry, adhere to a certain amount of crimes. We will adhere to certain types of rules, you know, and yeah, that's how I look at it. I don't see why anybody should be trading with people that don't want to be held accountable and be held equally accountable for wrongs. I don't see why that makes a good trading partner. I don't see why somebody should have access to your country or your land when they don't see you as an equal. I don't understand that. Like myself as an American citizen, I don't understand that. I think it's bullshit. You see, so but in any case, click the like button, y'all. Thank you very much. Yesterday, if you don't know, goddamn, I did the longest stream that I've ever done ever. And it was only because I had the free time. But listen, and I felt like, damn, I missed a few days in the past week, 2 weeks, you know what I'm saying? So I actually did a 7-hour live. So if you didn't get a chance to check that out, a lot of you did. The ones that you didn't, go see the live yesterday. Yeah, because it was about some of this Venezuela stuff and some of these other, you know, dynamics that are going on. But now, last thing last, I just want to switch my attention over to this one other dynamic here.
Hey, marketers, let me show you.
Guess who came up in the equation? You will never believe it. And it's really, really ironic. And let's see. This also goes back, I think, to, we just went through the ICC. Belarus, I think it's Belarus. Isn't that where the Tate brothers were? Let me see. Let's just listen to it and find out. Let's see.
The Jeffrey Epstein files have become a defining issue for Trump in his first year back at the White House, stoking allegations that his administration is covering up for the most notorious sexual predator in recent American history and his accomplices. But something that's flown under the radar is the story of how this man and his brother, two of them there, both facing charges of rape and human trafficking in Romania, were suddenly allowed to return to the United States, and how the Trump administration might have been involved in that. One of those men, Andrew Tate, is one of the most proudly, violently misogynistic influencers in the world, with an enormous following online, particularly among young men and even teenage boys. And in his online content, he and his brother have bragged about their recruitment and exploitation of women to make
teenage boys? What is this? What's up with this? I'm not saying that the teenage girls isn't bad enough, but teenage boys? Okay, that's interesting.
Both brothers have repeatedly denied criminal wrongdoing. Well, now the New York Times, in a remarkable investigative report, finds that they were released from Romanian custody only after Trump administration officials intervened. An official in the White House told the Times that it was not involved in Tate's legal matters. But the Times reports that 6 days before Trump's inauguration, Andrew Tate wrote in a text, quote, "I had word from the Trump administration that they're on top of things. I've been told I'll be free soon." And here is how the Tate brothers reacted when, in fact, they were freed. And they boarded their flights back to the States the very next month.
You know you are, Andrew? You know what we are? We are back. We are so back. No one has ever been more back than we just got.
It's true. And we never really left. So
never
now we're back. Never left, but we're massively back.
Megan, too, is a Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative reporter for the New York Times, one of the reporters who broke that story, and she joins me now. It's great to have you here. This is phenomenal work.
Thanks for having me.
I say that to you a lot because it's always true. So first, I guess, just for folks that don't know who Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan are, like, can you just give us a sense of who they are and what kind of content they made and what their message is?
Sure. So they are huge stars in the so-called manosphere.
Let me see. Somebody asked a question.
Andrew Tate, in particular, has
built a. Let's see here. Somebody asked a question about the big
massive
countries.
audience of mostly young.
Somebody asked a question about the big states, the big countries not being members of the ICC. Let me see here. Who asked that question? So those with large military backing up them are NATO. Those who are at the mercy of those without military power are the ICC. Hold on. Let me see here. So those with, that was bits. So those with large military backing up them are NATO. I'm not sure I understand what you mean, bits. But, you know, to me, it's very, I would say it like this. These superpowers, China, Russia, and the United States, have not signed on to the ICC. So that means these countries have huge reach around the globe and sell weapons and contribute to war directly or indirectly every single day of the week through their weapons distributions, right? Through their weapons chain around the globe, right? Why would anyone want to do business with people that can't even agree to follow the same set of rules? Like, that's what I'm saying. That's kind of like setting a person's, you're setting yourself up for something bad because you're enabling people to not have the same set of rules as you have to follow. That part, I don't understand. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Say that part, I don't get it. You see what I mean? And again, let's just go back to this map one more time. I know it's getting tiring, but I like to make sure the points are clear. NATO has war crimes procedure for the same stuff, but that's not the equal footing. You know, that doesn't put NATO on equal footing with anybody else around the globe, because everybody's not a member of NATO. More people are a member of the ICC than NATO, and more countries, you know, participate in it. Like, and it would, the whole point is that it's designed so that rich countries like Germany, France can be members of it. At the same time, a country with less GDP can be a member of it. You know what I'm saying? You see what I mean? So that kind of puts everybody on an equal footing, I would say, in that, because they're all submitting to the same set of rules, right? And I think this would be more important to smaller nations, because smaller nations, they don't have the same reach that superpowers have, that industrial nations, especially superpower industrial nations, have around the globe. So smaller nations are not participating in the proliferation of weapons like superpowers are. So to me, it seems like, you know, I don't know, to some way or another, you know, we feeding into this. Like, a lot of nations on earth are feeding into it because they're willing to do business with superpowers that don't want the same sets of rules that they signed up for, you know what I mean, and ratified in their own countries. They don't want to play fair. And I just think right now is an interesting time for people to understand that everybody in the EU has signed and ratified the ICC. So they're on the same footing, right? I mean, when it comes to the rules, you could say they're on the same footing. as the EU is on the same footing as Africa, you could say, in terms of the ICC. Africa has 54 states. 50 of them are members. All right. And 4 of them are not. And the EU, everybody is a member state. So that means when it comes to war crimes, when Europeans, they will be cautious. I don't know about France, which one has veto power, but they would definitely be cautious, when it comes to traveling to around the world. And I mean, let's just be honest. Let me see here. Let me go into this real quick. How many NATO nations or EU nations have been accused by the ICC? I mean, I'm sure the U.S. has blocked a few, right, on the United Nations level. Let's see here. NATO has 31 members. Most have never been directly accused, investigated by the ICC. However, Afghanistan, U.S., UK, and other NATO allies, the ICC investigated alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity committed by the U.S. military personnel. So they investigated it. And contractors in Afghanistan. Okay. Countries involved: the United States, non-member, but nationals investigated. UK members. UK members were investigated also. Status: investigation ongoing. No formal charges against the state leaders yet. Others: no other NATO member states have been formally investigated or accused by the ICC. Right? So you got 2, UK and the United States. The U.S. is not a member state, right, but the UK is. Okay. EU has 27 members. Oh, can you all see this? Boom. The EU has 27 members, most of which are ICC members, right? United Kingdom, ICC investigation linked to Afghanistan, right? Other EU nations, no EU member has been formally charged by the ICC for war crimes. Right. And by the way, you can still, you could recommend all you want, but it doesn't seem like Russia is recommending that any EU nation or any NATO nation be, charged by the ICC, because Russia's not a member. But Russia they don't adhere to it. Netanyahu hasn't, asked because they're not a member. The United States. I mean, it's important for people to understand this because, and even myself, I really have to look at the concrete details and put them before my face and look at a map before I really understand the consequences behind this. You know what I mean? This type of wheeling and dealing on the earth. But it appears that people that, I mean, it's just appearing this way to me. People that allege the United States or Western powers have committed war crimes are people that support other countries that have committed war crimes. I mean, that's what it appears to me. I'm just saying, it appears that way to me, right? That a lot of that is what goes on because, Russia's not even trying to get somebody charged by the ICC. Israel's not even trying to get anyone charged by the International Criminal Court. China's not even trying to get anybody or cooperate with anybody being charged on the criminal court. So why would you support China, Russia against, and then always point out, you committed war crimes, then the Western powers have committed war crimes, when you don't even support the ICC in the first place? Like, see, do you understand what I'm saying here? I mean, surely you guys have listened to a lot of the propaganda over the years. Yeah, hit the like button. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's clear that there's an issue there, and I'm just saying, out of fairness, I'm not saying we have to agree with what nation has the moral high ground. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying we have to agree with what nations have the ethical high ground. What I'm saying is that this doesn't make sense, regardless of who you think has the moral or ethical high ground. That scenario where people are blaming Western powers blaming any EU nation, for war crimes, it's being done by people that don't even fucking want to adhere to the ICC. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? Don't you understand it? Like, how could you support Putin and then claim that a Western nation has committed a war crime? I'm just saying, I'm asking that. How's that possible? If you don't believe in the International Criminal Court anyway. You see what I'm saying? It just seems kind of weird. The same question can be asked, why would the U.S., right, foster ideas that someone commits war crimes when they're not even members of the ICC? I mean, you see where I'm getting at with this? Even if someone was by the larger body, the ICC is overwhelmingly the extreme majority of nations on earth have signed the ICC declaration and ratified it. 90-something%, right? Why? You know, to me, it just seems like, why would people even be talking about war crimes when you don't adhere to the bodies that prosecute, you know, the bodies that everyone, 90% of the countries on earth have agreed are the bodies that should be prosecuting war crimes? I mean, that's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems really, really weird. And I'm saying that for a lot of different groups. You see what I mean? Like, the U.S., it becomes very difficult to talk about somebody else committing war crimes when you don't sign the ICC. Russia, it becomes very difficult with someone even claiming, if you agree with Russia, then you also agree to not prosecute war crimes. If you agree with Russia, if you agree with the United States, you basically agree to not prosecute war crimes on the international stage. If you agree with China, you agree to not prosecute war crimes on the international stage. That's what you're agreeing to not do. And it's just something people need to pay attention to, because 90-something% of all other nations and all EU nations have agreed. They've signed the ICC. I'm just saying, moving forward, smaller nations that feel like they left out of the world, left out of fairness, you might want to work with some alternative powers that have signed the same agreements you have signed. That's what I'm saying. That might be a good way to move forward. You see what I'm saying? That's all I'm suggesting. Now, let me see here. Wake Up says, because America has its own definition of war crimes, that may differ from the ICC. If you have your own principles, you can change them case by case. Well, you sign it. I mean, yeah, but you're absolutely right about that. But then what do you get if everyone lives in a world where everybody just makes up the rules on their own? Then what do you get? Do you get cooperation? Do you get to point the finger at anybody? No, you don't. You don't get to point the finger at anybody for breaking any rule, because you don't adhere to any rule except the one you think are fit for yourself at any determined time yourself. You see what I mean? So, yeah, is that going to make a more peaceful world? Don't think so. Don't think so. I mean, you know, to me, it's just something. I know it's not the biggest revelation on earth, but to me, it seems like, you know, people might want to move forward with folks that have signed the ICC agreement and want to at least, you know, work fairly and admit mistakes when they happen. You see what I mean? Take some responsibility. Yeah, right now we don't see nothing going on with the Congo, Rwanda. We don't see nothing going on there. Like, let me just look up that one last thing, and then I'm going to go back to the Tate brothers, I'm going to go back to the Tate brothers real quick and then sign out. But let me just check this one last thing here. Has anyone accused by the ICC of war crimes? Let me see here. In the Congo. Sorry. Here we go. Of course, people have been accused, but let's also say I want to see in the Congo specifically, like with this situation, because that shit's been going on for a long time. Okay, here we go. So let's review here. So the ICC has formally accused several individuals of war crimes and crimes against humanity in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. Here's a detailed overview. Okay, Thomas Lubanga Diillo, right? Did I say that right? Diillo? Okay, position leader of the Union of Congolese Patriots, UPC militia, charges war crimes, recruitment, and use of child soldiers. Outcome, convicted in 2012. Sentenced to 14 years in prison, later reduced for time served. So they cooperated. So now, where was he arrested? I'm curious about that. Was he arrested somewhere else? Okay, Jermaine Katanga. Okay, African nations seem to cooperate with International Criminal Court. You know, Jermaine Katanga, position leader of the Patriotic Resistance Force of Uturi. I'm curious about who's arresting them now, where they're living when they're getting arrested. Charges war crimes and crimes against humanity, murder, sexual slavery, and attacks on civilians. Outcome, convicted in 2014, sentenced to 12 years, later reduced for time served. Okay. Matthew Ngujolo Chewy, right? Ngujolo, I think I said that right. Let me know. Position leader of the militia of the Uturi region. 2 seconds. Charges crimes against humanity and war crimes, murder, rape, and pillaging. Outcome, acquitted in 2012 due to insufficient evidence. Okay, Jean-Pierre Bemba. These are a lot of people, and I'm not saying that it's not just, but it's interesting. Vice President DRC charges war crimes and crimes against humanity, murder, rape, and pillaging. You know, if I was an African nation, I would be demanding that all these countries sign this goddamn agreement, since so many people have been, tried by the ICC. I would be saying, yeah, what about everybody else? What y'all gonna do? Y'all gonna sign this bad boy or what? We gonna be on equal footing or no? And that means everybody: China, Russia, United States, and everybody else. Venezuela, right? Now, key points about the Congo case. I mean, these prosecutions primarily concern the Uturi region conflicts during the 2000s. ICC focused on leaders of armed groups or political figures responsible for large-scale crimes. Some accused were arrested and tried in The Hague, while others, likely Coney, remain at large. Okay, so let me just go back up here real quick. Who else? Okay, just to get a quick overview here. Okay, so look, we went over this. Bashir, Bemba. Okay, we went through those, but we didn't say Bashir. We skipped Bashir in this last list, but he's there. Thomas Lubanga is there. Coney is there. Okay, so now Middle East is Ahmad al-Faqih al-Mahdi, right? That's Mali. Okay, individuals in Palestinian territories, Gaza conflicts. ICC investigation ongoing. Some warrants for war crimes considered, but Israel disputes jurisdiction. It's interesting. Like, does Israel want people to be convicted that did this September? What day was it? Something like that. This 1 day thing, incursion into Israel, where they captured all these people. Do they want them to be prosecuted or not? That's very curious. I mean, okay. And again, how can you criticize people if you don't sign up to be prosecuted? Like, who's supposed to prosecute them? Who do you think is supposed to prosecute them? The U.S.? Is that what's supposed to go on? What's the body that's supposed to? If Hamas committed war crimes, what is the body that's supposed to prosecute them? According to Israel, according to the United States, what's the body? I'm lost here. It doesn't seem like they're for a body prosecuting them. And I think that's pretty strange. U.S. personnel in Afghanistan, okay, that was in Asia. Okay, ICC. Okay, then it's Afghan Taliban leaders have also been on charges for war crimes. Okay, let me see. ICC investigation ongoing. Okay, it's ongoing. There's no charges. Key points. Okay, so that kind of wraps that up. You see what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. To me, it just kind of seems like something's missing there. Like there's a lack of cooperation when it comes to killing and maiming and death. Large amounts of it, by the way, heinous crimes, rape, except in Africa, these people go to jail for this shit. They actually go through it. People get captured, people get prosecuted. Where were the African leaders and soldiers captured who faced the criminal court? I'm just curious where they were captured at. Were they captured in Africa or were they captured outside? It's just worth noting that too, since I'm bothered to look at this. Okay. Captured in DRC. Okay, so Lubanga was captured in the DR. Okay, Congo. Right. Transferred to the Hague, Netherlands. Jermaine Katanga captured in the Congo. Okay. Matteo Ngujolo Chui captured in the DR Congo. Jean-Pierre Bembe Gumbo captured, surrendered in Belgium. Okay. Right. Arrested in Belgium in 2008 after traveling there, transferred to The Hague. Omar al-Bashir issued arrest warrants 2009 and 2010, but has never been captured. He remained in Sudan until 2019 overthrow. Okay, where the hell is he now? Let me know. Anybody know where he is right now in the chat? Al-Bashir. Okay. Commanders of LRA, Uganda, Joseph Kony, and others have ICC warrants but remain at large, primarily in the Central African Republic surrounding areas. Okay. So, right. Okay. So, only one of them has been captured in Europe, and the rest have been captured actually in Africa. That's very interesting to know, too. So, it seems like Africans actually followed through largely with the ICC signing the agreements that they have. Otherwise, these people wouldn't be turned over to the Hague, and yeah. But then there's two that still remain, and who knows where Bashir is. I mean, anybody know where Bashir is? Paul Manafort. Somebody said, "Are you joking with me, Eric?" Anyway, so yeah, so there you have it. I mean, let me just finish up on this. I'm gonna let this play out with these whatever. Who are these guys? The goddamn Tate brothers, rapists, pedophiles, and all kinds of shit. Hanging out with Trump. Okay, MAGA. What y'all think about this? Is this cool? Was this a good MAGA move?
It's true, and we never really left. So now we're back. Never left, but we're massively back.
I would say it's like having another.
Okay. Yeah, they're massively back, and they went to the U.S. Trump saved them. Yeah, let's see. This is crazy, though.
A reporter from the New York Times, one of the reporters who broke that story, and she joins me now. It's great to have you here. This is phenomenal work.
Thanks for having me.
I say that to you a lot because it's always true. So first, I guess just for folks that don't know who Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan are, can you just give us a sense of who they are and what kind of content they made and what their message is?
Sure. So they are huge stars in the so-called manosphere. Andrew Tate, in particular, has built a massive audience of mostly young men by preaching brazen masculinity and chauvinism. And they have also taught courses on how to date women and exploit women and make money, and have also, very notably, run a porn business for about a decade in which they kind of bragged about basically dating women and then steering those girlfriends into making content, online sexual content, in which they take most of the profits.
If I'm not mistaken, I think one of the courses they offered was like a pimping course, right? It had the acronym PIMP,
yeah,
right?
it was a PhD, short for Pimping Hose Degree.
Yes, and the whole idea was, and again, they would say this, is we will teach you how to find women, create some sort of what appears to be romantic connection with them, and then use that to manipulate them into them making sexual content that you profit off of, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And they were born in the United States, but grew up, spent much of their life growing up in Britain. And so they launched this porn business, if you will, around the mid-2010s when they were based in Britain. And then in 2015, they moved to Romania. We found out Andrew was actually under criminal investigation then for alleged assaults of multiple women. As he tells it, thought that Romania, was a place where you could get away with a lot of stuff that you couldn't get away with in the West.
I think he even said that,
He even
right?
said that, yes.
Get away with.
Yeah, exactly. And so they they basically relocate to Romania. And so they're running this business out of both like Britain and Romania. They're growing it into a variety of platforms with a variety of women. And so they're doing all these things simultaneously. They're doing the porn business. Then they're teaching the online courses in which they're basically saying, we'll teach you the lessons we've learned from this.
And there's some of the
Is this Christian right behavior? Is this behavior that the Christian right should approve of? Is this behavior that MAGA approves of? Is this this is what I don't get. I mean, maybe I should get it, but it seems like MAGA wants to claim they want to claim the U.S. for Christians. But then they go protect pedophiles, rapists. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. That's why it's failing. Now on an authoritarian tip, because, Americans need to experience what it's like to have an administration that doesn't adhere to any rules whatsoever. And uses its military against its civilian population. Americans need to experience that before they realize, damn, this is what they mean by authoritarianism. I don't like it. Okay, I get it. But how does a political party get to claim the Christian right when they protect people like this on purpose? What does Trump have to do with interfering and making sure that another country doesn't arrest these men? What is the point? And here, look, they're saying it's because Barron Trump has ties to this. I mean, is Barron Trump, is he on tape? Do the Tate brothers have Barron Trump on tape sleeping with Eastern European minors? Is that what's going on here? Because Trump definitely went out of his way to make sure these two men were not arrested in Eastern Europe. I forget, was it Romania, right?
MMA stuff, fighting and working out, and they're like, he's super ripped and all that, all of that stuff adjacent to the sort of exploitation.
Yeah, exactly, like super fitness.
Yeah.
I mean, Andrew got his start as a professional kickboxer,
right.
So it's really maximized that image.
So they have this huge following. Now, so that's sort of uncontested, right, that part of it, that this is what they're about. And they've said it, and they've talked about needing to treat women like slaves, and you need to dominate them, and you need to treat them like a dog, that you say to them, you give them orders, right, and that you have to condition them the way you condition a dog. That's all stuff they've said. There are a variety of criminal allegations against them. Let's start with the Romania case. That was the reason they couldn't leave the country, because they were under indictment.
That's right. Well, actually, the reality is that they're actually under criminal investigation.
Sorry, criminal investigation. It's a different process.
It's a different process. So they have been, since late 2022, they have been under criminal investigation in Romania. And the allegations are there that they have coerced dozens of women into their porn business, into what amounts to trafficking, and that Andrew has raped one of those women. And there's accusations that he had sex with and beat a 15-year-old. And so those...
I want to just say that again. There's an accusation that he had sex with and beat a 15-year-old.
Correct. And so this case, as the prosecutors have been building this case, they have repeatedly sought to keep these guys confined. And so they had been prohibited from leaving the country as the prosecutors are building this case, with the prosecutors saying that they posed a public danger and a flight risk.
I want to read some of these texts that you have gotten in the article. This is a woman who says, do you want me?
I hear you, Chris. I hear you.
To be your slave or your wife. This is a woman who, again, he's sort of, it seems to be recruiting kind of quasi-romantically and then maybe trying to move him to something else. You'll do whatever I tell you, which is the same thing. I'll choose a woman to be my wife.
Okay, now they say that Barron Trump has ties to these dudes. And people are alleging that that's why Trump intervened in their arrest. Let me see here. Let's just play some.
Love me enough.
Now this says, what does this say? 2 seconds. Do you want me to be your slave wife? You'll do whatever I tell you, which is the same thing. If I choose a woman to be my wife, she'll love me enough to let me tell her what I feel like. I will decide if she is a slave. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how many of you MAGA people are okay with this. Trump, obviously, this didn't bother Trump. It shouldn't be surprising. And to me, it sounds like the whole point of mentioning Barron Trump in this is that, to let people know that he could very well be compromised. Like, somebody might be using Barron Trump, information about Barron Trump, to twist Trump's arm, like the president of the United States arm, and this is the same type of situation that Epstein, or Trump was caught up with Epstein. And now it seems like they're implying that his son might be caught up in a same dynamic with the Tate brothers. And they're alleging this is why he intervened, Trump, in their arrest. And they were arrested. Let me see here. It says, okay, let me just go down here. The Tate brothers. Let me see. Where were the Tate brothers arrested? I think they were arrested in Romania, but I just want to make sure I got that correct. So let me see here. Let me pull that up. Boom. The Tate brothers. Okay. Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate were arrested in Romania, right? In 2022 in Bucharest. Okay. Romania, their residence. Okay. That's where they live. Or that's where they live. Yeah, that's where they lived. That was one of their residences, obviously. Legal process. Romanian authorities arrested them as part of an ongoing investigation. They were placed under judicial detention while the investigation continued. Note, there was no verified public reporting that any foreign government, including the U.S., interfered with their arrest. But listen, so how does Trump or his son come into play? Let me see here. Yeah, and then I'm just going to see. I'm sure they got some references here. I'm sorry. I'm going to see what they are. There's no verifiable public evidence. Okay, hold on. That former President Donald Trump or his son Donald Trump were involved in the arrest or legal proceedings. Okay, but were they involved in getting them free? Okay, here's what's publicly known. The Tate brothers' arrest. Andrew Tristan Tate were arrested by Romanian authorities in Bucharest, December 2022. The arrest was part of a Romanian investigation into human trafficking, rape, and organized crime. Romania is a sovereign state, conducted the investigations and judicial process. There is no public records of the U.S. intervention in their arrest. Okay, Trump and U.S. involvement. Some rumors online have suggested potential political connections due to the brothers' online presence and their interactions with the U.S.-based media or political figures like Trump. However, no credible source or court document confirms that Trump or Donald Trump Jr. intervened in Romania or influenced Romania law enforcement. The U.S. government has not filed charges against the Tate brothers, nor has it requested their arrest through Interpol or other mechanisms. Key takeaway: the arrest and investigation are entirely Romanian legal matters. Any claim of Trump or his son interfering are unsubstantiated. Okay, if you want, so let me see something. Why were they released? This is what I don't understand. This is the key point of contention here. Why were they released if they were investigated? The Tate brothers were released from Romanian detention under judicial supervision, but it was not a full exoneration. Here's what happened based on Romanian legal proceedings. Romanian law allows suspects to be released from pretrial detention if the court determines they are not a flight risk. Look like they flight risk. They flew immediately. I mean, I don't understand this. The initial reasons for detention no longer fully justify continued imprisonment, or investigators have gathered enough evidence to continue the case without holding the suspects in jail. In Tate's case, the court decided they could remain under judicial control while the investigation continued. Conditions upon release: house arrest or home confinement at the designated address. Electronic monitoring. What is the designated address? Okay, release does not equal innocence. Okay. So, where are they to stay while under investigation, and in what country, and did they leave? Let's see here, just to make it quick and concise. Let me see here. Then I gotta go, y'all. Let me see. Boom, 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 boom. I got work in about 11 hours from now, so I gotta be getting ready in about 9 hours from now. So I need to take care of a few things. All right, here's the let's see here. Country of investigation and supervision. The Tate brothers were arrested in Romania in late December 2022 on charges including human trafficking, rape, and forming a criminal gang to sexually exploit women. They were held in Romanian custody and later placed under various forms of judicial supervision there. After pretrial detention and house arrest, Romanian courts eventually replaced house arrest with judicial control, meaning they were allowed more freedom with Romania, but still had legal obligations such as reporting regularly to the police and not leaving without permission. Okay, that's Sky News reporting that. Travel outside Romania. In February 2025, a Romanian court lifted the travel ban and had prevented the brothers from leaving the country. Romanian prosecutors modified the judicial control measures, which still apply, but now permitted them to leave Romania while they remain under investigation. The Tate brothers then flew to Bucharest, Romania, to the United States, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, on February 27th. After authorities lifted the travel restrictions, they landed in Florida, where they were after authorities lifted travel restrictions. So there you have it. Under the Trump, on 2020, under the Trump administration, the authorities lifted travel restrictions that were already there that affected the Tate brothers from coming to the U.S. Basically, that's what that says to me. Right? There you go. They're still under investigation and judicial supervision. Don't know how that works. How does the Romanian government going to supervise them in the U.S.? How does that work? Yeah. So, yeah. Now, let me see something. Why are people saying Barron Trump has connections to them? Let me just see what that comes out with. Then I'm going to be out here. The claims that Barron Trump, Donald's youngest son, has connections to the Tate brothers are unsubstantiated, purely speculative. Here's a careful breakdown of why these, but it doesn't mean it's not true. Breakdown of why these rumors circulate and why they are not credible. Origin of rumors. Online conspiracy forums and social media posts have speculated links between Barron Trump and Andrew or Tristan Tate, mainly because the Tates are controversial internet personalities, often in the media. Donald Trump and his family are frequently mentioned in their political influence on it. People misinterpret photos, social media interactions, or past events as evidence of personal connection. So, do they have pictures of Barron with the Tate brothers? High-profile names. Okay, conflation with Donald Trump Sr. because Andrew and Tristan Tate have some public publicity commentary. Social media. Okay, so let me see here. Connections. Okay, facts, rumors. Okay, so let me see here. Barron Trump has no documented ties to the Tate brothers. Any claim? Okay, Tate brothers legal issue entirely handled. Okay, so let me see. Is Barron in any photos with the Tate brothers? I'm just curious about that. This is not 100% accurate, but it's pretty accurate, but let me know. There's no confirmed photos. Okay, this is searching Google. you know, and yeah, this is searching Google references. So anything that's been submitted to Google in any form of article, any social media, anything, which Google is all a part of, obviously, it's going to be filtered through this. You know, sometimes you have to ask it some questions a few times, twice or three times, to make sure you're getting the right answer, but pretty much is very accurate. Okay, in an image, Barron is standing near people who have connections to the Tates through social media or business networks, but Tates themselves are not actually in the photo. I got it. So that's what it is. There is one widely shared photo of Barron Trump at Mar-a-Lago with other figures, not the Tate brothers, and that image has been circulated online. Discussions about perceived connections. In that image, Barron is standing near the people who have connections to the Tates through social media or business networks, but the Tates themselves are not actually in the photo. What is actually reported? A photo of Barron Trump at Mar-a-Lago with other influences went viral. The post included people with associative ties to the Tate brothers. There it is, through business and social media circles, okay? But the Tates themselves were not in the picture. News outlets and social media have reported that Barron Trump has had occasional interactions or discussions with Andrew Tate or people close to him. So that's been alleged on social media. For example, reportedly speaking with Tate or his associates about social media strategy, but none of these reports provided verified official photographs showing Barron. Okay, so there you have it. Andrew Tate, Barron has been photographed with individuals who have ties. Okay, so that's what it's based on. He's been in pictures with people with ties to the Tate brothers. So yeah, let's see. In any case, folks, I'm out for a minute. Let me just check the chat here. Let me see. Here. Trump is literally Hitler's biological child, right? What is this? Why do you think he has a micro? I mean, hey, who knows, man? You know, but Trump is definitely, I would say, not a friend of the poor or middle class. He was born on a super wolf-blooded moon, 14th day. Let me see here. Let me just go back here. Let's say, I will just remove that one. So, in any case, I'm going to be out. I wasn't as much of a Trump supporter in 2016. I just glad he stopped another Bush or Clinton from taking office. Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I don't think of things that way myself. You know what I'm saying? I don't get me wrong. I'm not living in a world where I believe you're voting for perfect people. I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton, for example. You know what I'm saying? I thought that wasn't a good look. I didn't like that. But I didn't vote for Trump either that time around. I was a little, or did I vote for Hillary? Yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like I'm not into dynasties. I'm not into none of that stuff. I want new people, and I want people to have track records, at least in government, at least in state or federal level, that have a track record of working for the people. That's what I want. I don't want any weirdos. I don't want any people with big talking words that talk like they care. I don't care about all of that. I care about what your record looks like. And if you understand, that you will have to be working for the American people. I don't see being a billionaire as a good sign of wanting to care about average people. So I would never really vote for a billionaire. I think that's probably the worst bet you can make. So I don't see Clinton and, Hillary as being that bad in that way. You know what I'm saying? Because they would still have to gain acceptance from a lot of different constituencies. Trump didn't need much. He could pretty much buy his constituency. You know what I'm saying? They pretty much bought it with money and media. He hasn't really done much, you know what I'm saying, to clap at for the average American citizen, for the poor and the middle class, right? So, I try not to let personality cloud my judgment. It's not Trump's personality, like how he sounds or just small things that bother me. It's huge, gaping gaps of criminality and security issues. Like, there's simply no comparison between Trump and Hillary Clinton. Zero. Trump is off the Richter scale with problems. Hillary Clinton just annoyed some people. You see what I'm saying? It's only a couple of things. You got the Benghazi emails and what else? And she was drinking blood on Epstein Island. That's basically it. And she said 20 years ago, lock them up. Lock them up. They're, she didn't say animals, but she said something else about crime in the U.S. 3 things. Trump has 1,000 fucking things and then 1,000 more. You just can't. You cannot compare Hillary Clinton's to Trump. You can't compare Bill Clinton to Trump. You can't compare. There's nobody that compares to Trump's amount of criminality. There's nobody. Putin probably, but people can't even get to prosecuting his ass. You don't know what he's doing with little girls anyway. You don't know what he's doing, period. You don't have the right to know what Putin is doing. Okay? They don't even allow media, that is not 100% state controlled in the room to ask Putin a question. You see what I mean? And that's what Trump wants to make the U.S. So, but in any case, I'm out. I'm going to be out. I'll catch you guys later. I appreciate everybody for coming out once again and listening. Click the like button. Subscribe. Do me a favor and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And I appreciate y'all. I will be back. I'm going to see what the timing is for tomorrow. And we will see. But I appreciate everybody. I appreciate you, Bits, also for the support. Like, seriously, because obviously, this is YouTube, and it does help. The little bit helps. I appreciate you for that. And also, the way that you're doing it by giving out gifts so people can see a few of the other private videos I got about why I'm doing this and, what my background is and things like that for people, yeah, so I appreciate that a lot. Yo, anybody else subscribe? Peace. You done goofed. I appreciate you also. And again, we don't always, I'm not just talking to you done goof, but in generally, I don't have to agree with people. My point is, let's go find out and dig up the information and see. Let's not let people just say whatever they want to say over the internet and just get away with it without saying, let's go find out if that's true. Let's find out how much of that is true. Where is that substantiated? Where is it not substantiated? Why? Let's do that. Let's be about that because, disinformation cannot win a motherfucking election again. Like, really, we got to expect people to step up in the United States of America about where they stand on disinformation. Nobody should want to be fucking lied to, especially covering up shit like Epstein files, covering up shit like Elon Musk trying to buy up the globe. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck all that. We got to stand up for democracy. That's the only thing we got. If we give up democracy, we ain't going to have nothing. We are not going to have any fucking rights. So let's be about that. In any case, I'm going to catch up with you guys later. Everybody be good until next time, all right? So, we catch up. I appreciate y'all. Release the Epstein files. Impeach Trump. Let's get Trump out of there. Trump ain't special. All right? Appreciate y'all.
They want more. Crime babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe. People subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day in every clue. Don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep. Leaving 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the break. All Congress
gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die. You voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song.
They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more. But they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more. But they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.
Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers. Cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in a way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ab, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison.
They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more. But they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more. But they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. I know how to see a whack MC when he bustin', but I just back away real cool, no fussin'. I'd rather go kicking in the streets with the bums and use the knowledge to collect what? Some funds. Open a non-profit and build a damn school. And this is the story of how a great king rules. There's many that claim to know the local demographic, but don't have the nerve to tell you the truth. It's tragic, but I do, so sit back and let me spit this shit to